Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we're going to take a look at who the Beldam is. One of the most disturbing and sinister characters in modern animated cinema is, without a doubt, the Beldam, also known as the Other Mother. This terrifying antagonist from the movie Coraline, directed by Henry Selick and based on the novel by the renowned author Neil Gaiman, lives in a dark and twisted parallel world created with a single purpose: to seduce and trap unsuspecting children, especially those who suffer from loneliness, neglect, or feel invisible in their daily lives. That's why in this video I'm going to explain in detail the story and origins of the Beldam. I'll start with a summary of her story in the different films, then I'll talk about her physical appearance, her personality, and her incredible known abilities and weaknesses. The story begins when Coraline Jones, a free-spirited, brave, and very curious girl, moves with her parents to the Pink Palace, an old and somewhat run-down apartment house located in a rural and misty environment. Her parents, busy with their work and inattentive to her emotional needs, leave Coraline with a deep sense of isolation. This emotional disconnection is the first weakness the Beldam uses to get close to her. While exploring her new home, Coraline discovers a small and mysterious door hidden behind the wallpaper in the living room. When she opens it, she initially finds only a brick wall. However, during the night, guided by mice that seem to call her, the door transforms into a twisted, organic tunnel that transports her to an alternate reality. There, everything seems better. Her mother is affectionate, her father is fun, the neighbors are livelier, the food is delicious, and every little wish Coraline has is granted with precision. This world is so perfect it feels like a dream, until it starts to become a nightmare. At the center of this world is the Other Mother, a maternal figure who looks almost identical to her real mother, with one major difference. Instead of eyes, she has black buttons sewn onto her face. Although she first appears to be a kind hostess, she gradually begins to show unsettling behaviors and an obsessive need to control every aspect of Coraline's life. The Other Mother proposes that Coraline stay there forever, but under one disturbing condition. She must allow buttons to be sewn over her own eyes, symbolizing total surrender to that world and to her new mother. Horrified, Coraline rejects the offer, unleashing the Beldam's true wrath. From that moment on, the alternate world begins to fall apart. Colors fade, characters show deformed, soulless versions of themselves, and the Other Mother reveals her true form: a thin, cadaverous creature with sharp metallic hands and an empty gaze. The house changes shape, space becomes distorted, and Coraline finds herself trapped, alone, and hunted by an ancient predator who has perfected her hunting methods over generations. During her forced stay, Coraline discovers that she is not the first victim. Through a mysterious mirror, and with the help of the cat, a creature from the alternate world that retains its freedom and can speak, Coraline comes into contact with the ghosts of other children. These spirits reveal that they too were lured with false promises and ended up being slowly devoured. Their eyes were replaced with buttons, their bodies disappeared, and their souls remained trapped in the Beldam's dimension, prisoners of horror for eternity. Motivated by compassion, courage, and an unbreakable desire to return home, Coraline confronts the Beldam through a series of dangerous and psychological challenges. Using her intelligence, bravery, and some magical objects she finds along the way, such as a stone with a hole in the center that allows her to see the truth, Coraline manages to free the trapped children's souls and escape the Beldam's domain. The story culminates when Coraline, upon returning to the real world, seals the door that connects both worlds forever by throwing the key into a deep well. But even though the portal has been closed, the fear remains. The threat of the Beldam hasn't disappeared entirely. Her existence, her world, and her insatiable hunger continue to lurk in the shadows, waiting for another door to open or for another child to fall into her web. And now that we've covered her story in depth, I want to talk to you about the Beldam's physical appearance, what we know about her personality and behavior, and I'll explain her incredible known abilities and weaknesses. The Beldam initially appears as an idealized and warm version of Coraline's mother, presenting a kind, smiling, and seemingly loving figure, with gentle gestures and a maternal attitude that inspires trust. This appearance is carefully designed to lure and comfort the child, but it hides a disturbing element. Instead of real eyes, she has black buttons sewn onto her face. These buttons are not just a strange detail, but a profound symbol of her absolute control and the artificial, false nature of her world. They represent the loss of humanity and autonomy, as sewing buttons over one's eyes signifies erasing true identity and submitting to the will of the Beldam. As Coraline begins to reject the illusion and confront her, the Beldam's true nature is revealed in all its grotesque and terrifying form. Her body becomes skeletal, extremely thin and elongated, with almost deformed limbs and bony, needle-like fingers, capable of manipulating and trapping her victims with deadly precision. Her pale skin stretches tightly over her bones, and her movements become unsettling, reminiscent of a spider or predatory insect. This physical transformation reflects not only her monstrosity, but also her inner state. An ancient creature consumed by an insatiable hunger and an obsessive desire to control everything around her. This duality in her appearance captures her essence, a kind, motherly mask designed to lure children in, and behind it, a manipulative, ravenous, and terrifying being. When it comes to her personality, the Beldam is extremely manipulative and patient. She does not act impulsively. Instead, she uses patience as a tool to slowly lure and trap her victims, earning their trust and creating an environment where they feel safe before revealing her true intentions. She takes advantage of children's longing, loneliness, curiosity, and desire for love or attention to manipulate them and make them let their guard down. Her demeanor is calculating and cruel, disguised beneath a surface of affection and understanding. She presents herself as the perfect mother who can offer everything the child wants. But this apparent need for love is not genuine. In reality, she seeks total control, yearning for her victims to surrender their will and identity, symbolized by sewing buttons over their eyes. Her primary motivation is an unquenchable thirst for power and control. Unlike a typical human being who seeks love or companionship, she views children as resources to feed on, absorbing their life force to sustain her world and herself. She believes she can achieve anything by offering the right rewards, using the promise of love and perfection to ensnare her victims in her trap. However, this obsession is also her weakness. As Coraline resists and challenges her rule, the Beldam becomes more aggressive and loses her composure, revealing that despite her apparent power, her need for control is also her downfall. Her inability to accept rejection and the freedom of her victims shows that her true nature is destructive, both to others and to herself. The Beldam possesses a set of supernatural abilities that make her one of the most unsettling antagonists in animated cinema. Her most impressive power is the ability to create an entire alternate universe, a parallel dimension that mimics the real world but is carefully altered to be more appealing and satisfying to her victim. This other world is completely malleable. Every detail, from the weather to the people and objects, can be modified at the Beldam's will, as if she were the director of a theatrical production designed to seduce and entrap. Within this dimension, she has absolute control. She can generate false versions of people close to her target, such as parents, neighbors, or pets, all created to emotionally please and manipulate. These copies, though they appear real, are empty puppets meant to reinforce the illusion and make her prey feel comfortable and desired. Everything is designed to make the child believe they've found a perfect world, when in reality, they're simply falling into a carefully constructed trap. She also has the ability to shapeshift, allowing her to hide her true appearance. She initially presents herself as a sweet and maternal figure, but as Coraline resists and challenges her control, her appearance begins to deteriorate, gradually revealing her monstrous nature. This shape-shifting ability not only allows her to visually deceive, but also to psychologically adapt to each child's desires, crafting a personalized illusion for every victim. Another terrifying ability is her omnipresence within her world. She can observe everything that happens through small black eyes she places in various corners, in dolls, toys, or insects. This constant surveillance gives her an edge over her victim, as she is always one step ahead, alert to any act of disobedience or threat to her power. Her control is not only physical, but also mental and emotional, ensuring that every corner of the other world is under her gaze. However, despite all her power, the Beldam is not invincible. One of her greatest weaknesses is that she is confined to her alternate universe. She cannot exist outside of it, which drastically limits her influence over the real world. This also means that any damage or emotional disruption to the other world can affect her directly, as her existence is intertwined with the stability of that false dimension. Additionally, her power depends on consent. She cannot directly force a child to stay with her. She needs them to choose it, to agree to have buttons sewn into their eyes, which symbolizes the complete surrender of their will. This need for consent is a major limitation, as force is useless to her. She must manipulate, seduce, and convince, and that makes her vulnerable if the victim is strong, skeptical, or determined to resist. When her prey begins to challenge her and emotional control is broken, her world also starts to collapse. The illusions fall apart, the others become unstable, and the environment loses its charm, turning gloomy, empty, and decayed. This shows that her power is fragile and completely dependent on maintaining the illusion intact. When Coraline begins to break the rules, the Beldam's true weakness is revealed. She's not as powerful as she seems when someone dares to say no to her. And finally, her fragility becomes most evident when she is alone, isolated, and weakened. Her appearance becomes more haggard and monstrous, and her desperate attempts to hold onto Coraline reveal that without the power of deception, she has nothing left. She is a parasitic creature, dependent on the life force of children and the constant maintenance of her illusion. Without it, she is nothing more than a hungry shadow, forever trapped in the prison she built for herself. And that has been everything we know so far about the creepy entity known as the Beldam, or the Other Mother, the twisted soul that inhabits Coraline's other world. Personally, I find her to be one of the most disturbing characters ever created in animated cinema, not just because of her appearance and abilities, but because of what she represents: the dark side of maternal love, taken to the extreme of manipulation, control, and an insatiable hunger for attention. But now I want to know what you think. Did you already know the full story of the Beldam? Do you think she's just a symbolic representation, or could she be interpreted as an ancient creature beyond human comprehension? And the creepiest question of all, if you found a small door in your house, like Coraline did, would you dare to open it? Leave your answers and theories in the comments. I love reading what you all think. Many times, your ideas complement or even surpass the darkest legends we've explored here on the channel. As always, thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, share it with someone who also loves creepy stories, and don't forget to subscribe to Monster File so you don't miss any of my new videos.